I wasn't that smart of a kid, and I always took that statement of being told I'm a smart kid as kind of a thing to be like fragile, which is what led to where I am today. You know, you lead to what the examples you're told, whether by the adults, parents, and that's what happened. And that's what really was jumping straight to conclusions from grandma and mom, Francesca, Paula, and my older brother, and believing them. I believe them straight out. Heck, there you go. That's what I did for over 30 years. I believed them till I left. So I understand why they're upset. You believe them till you leave. Of course, they're not going to want to see you succeed. And that's not me being angry. I get it completely. So when I initially did the rest in pieces, very angry at that time. Now looking back 6 years later, I can see why I was angry. I was angry because I totally was upset about having to desperately cling to things and understand that the people that were supposed to be there for me treated me like an alien the whole time I was there. That literally mom, grandma, Francesca Hunter, Paula Hunter, Jean-Pierre Giagnoli were not anybody in my life. They were strangers, and that's okay. Everything they said is valid because they were jumping to those conclusions already. I'm not a person who jumps to conclusions. I'm thoughtful. They're not, you know. I read a book. They don't. And that's not me calling them dumb. That's me recognizing that they were smart for this generation. They got up in life, well, to an extent. I don't know if mom and grandma did. They already passed on, so I don't know where they ended up when they ended, when their lives ended. So I can't really say. What I can say is I'd like to point out the discrepancies and really be accountable for the things that came off at the beginning. I destroyed my older brother's Ghostbusters toys when I was really young. I can't really say anything about what happened. I just know I did. I can say that I was told by my grandma, you're going to be killed when you go outside. You're going to be shot when you go outside. And then I was showed a gun in a closet, in a brown closet, at my grandma's house at the same time, right after that. And she said, don't worry, it's not loaded. Well, of course, I didn't believe that. That's in my mind. But, well, you just told me something horrible, and I given me your word that something's not there. But I wasn't seeing guns everywhere. Just because there's gangs everywhere doesn't mean there's guns everywhere. So that's the reality. I mean, that is the reality. People aren't just showing them off. And that's the reality looking back. They weren't showing them off, throwing them in the skies. So that is the reality. And I think that was the thing that fear, being afraid. It's like, hey, well, you showed me it. I have to come to my own conclusion too. So I did jump to conclusions too about the people I was around. Loyalty was said to me a lot. Loyalty, 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 fear. And it worked. It definitely worked. And from there, um, I think anything I was told about people that were dead that passed on. Arthur Hunter being a great guy. Yeah, I believed it. but he could be a horrible guy. Who knows? you know? And same thing about Raymond Boysrank. Who knows? He could be a great guy, a horrible guy. I don't know. He had a stroke by the time I knew him, but I sat with him, enjoyed shows with him, Xena, Hercules, everything great. That's wonderful. But I don't know anything about him when he spoke, like as much as like healthily. So I didn't have any real conversations, deep conversations. And I guess the same can be said about everybody I was around. They were very ethereal conversations. It's like talking with a fan. If you're if you're like a wrestler, you talk with a fan. That's all I was really with my family. And so on from that, I mean, everything I was told. I mean, I have to go back to my book because there was so much. I was curious with my family too. I remember my grandma said at one point about like, our generation deserved to be in long-term relationships, not yours. So that made me wonder about how my mom must have felt then, because why would she get into a long-term relationship then, or deserve that? And it made me feel like, whoa, then that means the men I came from are probably not good men. Arthur Hunter, Oscar Rospedi, Jean-Pierre Giagnoli, Marcello, me. Doesn't spell out good. So I have to do better. I have to do a lot better because I didn't come from a line of people that are significantly good, if that's the case. And my curiosity is high, so that's what I recognize from that. And I think the thing is, like, my grandma and my mom were great to people from the outside world. They were great to say, like, sons are great, they're smart, they're wonderful, gets you a little chin up, feel good about yourself, and same thing with my brother, says, I'm the golden child, golden child. Well, it must be true then. And it must be true. In some extent, everything must be true, you know? Nothing is permitted, everything is true. And I think that's really the case across the world, So that's what I saw behind closed doors, and that's what I saw in this whole thing, And that was the crazy thing about life. And the thing is, what I recognized is I met my family's friends with great curiosity, great love. My brother's friends with great curiosity, great love, became part of the paranormal group with great curiosity, great love. But think about what I just said there. There was something missing in that. What about my friends? Did anybody meet my friends with great curiosity and love? No, they did not. They met them with jumping to conclusions. With Marcello, can't pick out anything good. Marcello can't pick out anything well. He can't pick. He's not. He's not smart. He's not a smart person. But that also means they had those conclusions immediately by themselves. And that's okay if you did. Then you already had those conclusions, and I was never smart to begin with, but you said I was. I was never anything you said to begin with. I was fed by a silver spoon or golden child to begin with, which obviously I wasn't, because once I had to leave and do things on my own, it doesn't feed the case, you know? And if there's things I can recognize that are poor ethics and poor morals in a household, that means there's a problem. And if there's conversations that aren't being had within the family, there's a problem. There's an issue there. That means conversations aren't being had. And I think that's what shows people aren't willing to have those conversations. That's where we are right now. And that's what I recognize. That's what I want to have my family to rest in peace. All of them. And I think what I recognize is that my family didn't have a deep appreciation of the soulful relationship I have with Jax. They just were willing to just tear us down in any capacity for me just to not be happy on my own or with the person that I love. And I think that's just sabotage.